Who is more likely to cry at your wedding?
Svet, 100% Svetlana is more likely to cry at our wedding. I will probably have like a moment where she knows that I'm having an emotional moment, but nobody else can see it because I have this gift and curse of I have a stone face, sad me, happy me, terrified me, angry me, all tends to look the same. So it'll probably be Svet, and she'll be the only one that knows that I'm having an emotional moment. Everyone else just think, why is that guy not having any emotion on his face?
If Svetlana could pick any superpower, what would she pick?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. It would definitely be an MBTI superpower. It would be that she knows what everyone's type is, and probably that everyone has to listen to her when she's telling them their MBTI type and how important it is and how it explains their life in almost every facet. That would be the only way she would go. She would be the quintessential MBTI cult leader, and she would have many INFJ friends in her basement forever.
What is one of Svetlana's most commonly used phrases?
Ooh, let me think here. Commonly used phrases. She doesn't have a lot of loops. I think I have many more catchphrases than she does, and she will repeat them to me, but I don't want to repeat them here because then you will never unhear them. The commonly used phrase she used with me is, "This is what extroverted feeling looks like," or "This is how you should be validating things." Validating comes up a lot for me. It's not my strong suit. So I would say that's the closest thing, when she's trying to get me to be more validating or give someone bones. It's a problem.
What was your first impression of Svetlana?
So the first impression, I hadn't really spoken to her. She was sitting next to her godmother Kira on a park bench, and it was cold, and she was cold, and Kira was snuggling her up into her coat. And I remember she said, "Oh, this is Svetlana," and I was like, this is kind of a strange sight. And Kira says, "Oh, she's my goddaughter, it's fine." And I remember thinking, wow, what a strange group of people at the Orthodox Church. And then having spoken to her the first time I really had a conversation with her was on a Vespers on a Tuesday night in January. And then I thought, wow, she's this fascinating woman, who's speaking to me. I'm like, why is she talking to me, right? I'm just some broken down, barely hanging on old dude. And here's this beautiful redhead sitting here having a hour and a half long conversation, hearing my story, trying to tell me hers as Daniel repeatedly interrupts her to the point where I look at him like, bro, shut up. And it was a really beautiful story because you realize how awesome it is that brings so many wonderful people here to the church.
So far, what is your most favorite memory together?
Oh, that's the first one I would have to mention was when I got done on one knee to propose. Svetlana does this when she gets happy, like her face gets brighter and she gets her eyes get really big, and then she smiles and she gets all flustered and she doesn't know what to say. And so when I did that, she said, "Yes, I do." That would be one. And my other one would probably be Pascha. Anyone that knows Svetlana knows she can be slightly aloof and not necessarily plugged into what's going on around her. And we walked into Pascha, and she says, "Wow, and all the food is literally stacked up in the banquet hall, right?" And she says, "Wow, I wonder if we can see the new church tonight." And I'm looking around, and I'm like, well, that's where we're having the service, right? There's food stacked up here in the banquet hall, right? Of course we're having service over there. And she was like, oh, it just dawns on her that oh, wait a minute, that's all food. We're not having service in here tonight. That would probably be my second one. That one was pretty fun.
What is the silliest thing you two have ever argued about?
Hitler. Svetlana knows the story.
If Svetlana were an animal, which animal would she be?
She would be a woodland fairy. As Isella once called her, she has a very woodland fairy vibe going on. And just the way that she smiles, and she's kind of aloof, and she's rolling around and displaying wisdom and telling people all about their MBTI types. She would be a woodland fairy just flying around through the woods, 100%, no question.
When did you know that Svetlana was the one?
Well, when did I know, or when did I feel like my spirit really knew? I feel like my spirit knew early on. I was a little confused why she was going on dates with me, but I figured she kept going on dates, so it must be going pretty well. I would say around the time that she started telling me kind of her story of her life and all the things that had happened to her, it suddenly dawned on me that our stories were the same story, were two sides of this story that was culminating and coming together. And she had this kind of beautiful lineage, and she was funny, and she, had all these wonderful insights and things. And she had this warmness to her that, you just don't see very often. But she was also like thoughtful and deep and intuitive. And she finally tells me kind of a part of her story that she doesn't tell very often. And it was at that moment I realized, like, okay, this isn't just a woman I'm enjoying going on dates with. I think that this is going to be my wife.